Let's talk about an uncomfortable subject, something that's not really brought up as much, but something that's so important. Tell me about BioFemme, feminine wellness and hygiene, how important it is.
Well, it's a sensitive subject, but it's becoming a subject of the day. Why? Because women need to realize that if their vaginal health is not under control, it could actually impact their overall health. And what I mean by impact is basically they could start developing bloating, they have gas, they're uncomfortable, they're tired, they have memory loss. So everything is impacted and they never blame it.
They don't know.
No, they don't know. They don't blame it on their vaginal health, but they blame it on their spouse, maybe their husband, or maybe their work, whatever that may be.
So it affects their day-to-day.
Correct.
Everyday life.
Correct. And this is why it's so key now that we have that education, that we know about it, we should be talking more about it so we can really help overall women's wellness.
For sure. How would somebody go and test their pH? How do they know they're unbalanced?
Well, it's quite simple. There's a vaginal pH litmus paper. So it's a pH paper that we use in a pool, but specifically for the gynecology pH testing. You measure, you put it inside the small lips, so the labia minora, and you leave it there for 30 seconds. And after 30 seconds, you check your pH. And if you score between pH 3.7 and 4.1, you're healthy. Everything goes well. Nothing to do. But if you don't, then you really need to take care of it, because it's not, and it doesn't mean all products, but just one, that will make a difference.
But all the products will work in a way to rebalance a pH and to maintain a pH, also to prevent any yeast infections, bacterial vaginosis. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Correct. So that's, over and beyond, we have discovered that one woman out of 3 have reoccurring yeast infection. And yeast infection doesn't mean that you have a smell, because people often think, if I have a fishy smell, it's a sensitive subject and I have to go take care of it and I have a yeast infection. Mm-hmm. But reality is it doesn't have to smell. If your pH is off, it's off. That means we have like a yeast. We all have what we call our vaginal microbiota. It's like our vaginal flora is composed of different bacteria, good bacteria, and a yeast. So it's good to have that symbiosis, that good balance in order to have a good immunity and good body function. But the problem is when the yeast turns into mold, and that's the issue. When it actually converts, and we see that conversion starting at pH 4.1. So if you have a pH 4.1 and higher, that means even without the smell, you actually are, your pH is disturbed. So if your pH is disturbed, that means your Candida albicans, your yeast, has turned into mold. This mold, think of your strawberry, or raspberry at home. You buy it, a few days later, you see all this molding. This is what's happening. And unfortunately, it releases neurotoxins and endotoxin. And that's what's affecting long-term, even memory loss, we said, and there's even a connection with Alzheimer's.
Wow.
So this is, of course, we need to be more conscious about this
Not
impact.
many people know about this.
No, exactly.
So what's interesting is that Nelly De Vuyst actually has an entire collection that focuses on feminine wellness and hygiene. So let's talk a little bit about the collection we have in BioFemme.
Yeah, so we were the first to innovate in that specific area because, of course, we know the skin for years. I've been with Nelly De Vuyst since 1982. So we take care of our skin very well. But when it comes into there, we don't think or we don't understand the connection. So very simply, there's a cleanser, a foaming cleanser that you use every day. And if you're predisposed to yeast infection, that means if your pH is off, you want to use a cleanser that's really, respecting that pH balance. Because water, let's just look at water. When you take a shower, you take a pH, your water is a pH 7. So already pH 3 points, we said 3.7 to 4.1 is healthy. Right away, some people, maybe not you, maybe somebody else, will actually be impacted. They already will have a predisposition to yeast. Some other will go into a chlorinated bath or a pool, or hot tub, and right away they'll have a disturbance of their yeast. So if you are predisposed, that cleanser is just amazing. It's gentle, it respects the pH.
I use it every day.
Yeah, I think we're definitely something to do. And then the second thing you want to be mindful is balancing your pH. Coming out of water, maybe you're not predisposed, you want to give it a little tone. So on the labia majora, the outer part, we want to make sure it's always toned, because with menopause, unfortunately, it becomes a little loose. So there's that pH toner you come out of the shower that you use. And then
there's one specific product that we have that targets anybody that's suffering from yeast infection. Tell us a little bit about the zone control.
Yeah, so this is the zone control. So this you buy, and basically you'll have it for maybe a year, maybe two. It lasts for a long time. Maybe it will replace 4 or 5 times what you buy in the pharmacy for yeast management. So this product it's a natural, first of all, it's an organic certified. So all the product was developed for safety. Not only it's clean, but also certified. That means a third party actually comes and audit that all these formulation that you see the EcoCert on it. So the beauty with this is that you use it for 3 consecutive days and it restores your pH right away. And you want to use this zone control only when you have an issue. Otherwise, you never use it. So you test yourself, if you're predisposed to yeast infection, you wear tight clothing, or you go to a bike that there's friction. In the summer, it's really hot and you carry some humidity. Those yeast converts when it's heat, or when you eat a lot of sugar. We sometimes go to those sugar craving, and we eat a lot of sugar and suddenly those yeast develop, or we don't drink enough water. Sometimes just not drinking enough water, the yeast manifests itself and becomes pathogen. So nevertheless, you use this for 3 days, it restores your pH. A week later, you test, you're okay, you don't need this anymore, you put this away.
It's impressive. It's on only 3-day treatment, which is, it's very hard to find something that's effective, yet so fast acting.
And natural.
And natural.
Organic.
Completely organic,
Yes.
exactly.
Yes.
So you will find those certifications of EcoCert and Cosmos on all the products of the category.